Section 6.4, number 7, we're told to solve this equation in 0 to 2 pi by squaring both sides. So, first step is to square both sides. So on the right, I get radical 6 squared is just 6, and 2 squared is 4. And on the left, I have to FOIL. So I get, so squaring this gives me sine squared of x plus 2 sine x cosine x plus cosine squared x. That's a perfect square trinomial. So the right side I'm going to reduce down to 3/2. And looking on the left now, I see sine squared plus cosine squared. Those will equal 1. So I'm going to rearrange this a little. Putting those two together, so that I can replace that with just 1. So sine squared plus cosine squared is 1 by the Pythagorean identity. And then copy down the rest here. And then subtracting 1 from both sides to get the term with the x in it alone. So I'll subtract 1, I'm left with 2 sine x cosine x equals 3/2 minus 1 gives me 1/2. And then this is familiar. This looks like the identity for the double angle for sine. So that piece I can replace with sine of 2x. And now I've gotten my equation down to one trig function, so I can take the sine inverse of both sides now. So sine inverse of this blue stuff and the sine inverse of this purple stuff. The sine and sine inverse cancel each other, and I'm left with, on the left, just a 2x. And on the right, I think sine inverse of 1/2. And I'm answering within 0 to 2 pi. So I can look at the entire unit circle and think, when is sine equal to 1/2? And that is pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. And we're just in 0 to 2 pi, so we don't need to worry about adding multiples of those two. Those are the two solutions. But it's a solution to 2x, and I want a solution to x. That means I need to divide each side by 2. So I'm going to divide this thing by 2. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to set this up as two equations so that we can see a little better. So one solution is 2x equals pi over 6. The other solution is 2x equals 5 pi over 6. Now, divide each of these by 2. And I'm going to do it like this so that I can see what happens to that fraction a little bit better. So on the left side, I have 2x divided by 2 just gives me x. And on the right side, pi over 6 divided by 2 is the same as pi over 6 times 1/2, which gives me pi over 12. That's one solution. And on the right side, I have 2x divided by 2 gives me x. And 5 pi over 6 divided by 2 is the same as 5 pi over 6 times 1/2, which gives me 5 pi over 12. Those are my two possible solutions within 2 pi.